We have a long history of Islamophobia in Western culture that dates back to the time of the Crusades. In the 12th century, Christian monks in Europe insisted that Islam was a violent religion of the sword, and that Muhammad was a charlatan who imposed his religion on a reluctant world by force of arms. They called him a lecher and a sexual pervert. This distorted version of the Prophet's life became one of the received ideas of the West, and Western people have always found it difficult to see Muhammad in a more objective light. Since the destruction of the World Trade Center on September 11, 2001, members of the Christian right in the United States and some sectors of the Western media have continued this tradition of hostility, claiming that Muhammad was irredeemably addicted to war. Some have gone so far as to claim that he was a terrorist and a pedophile. We can no longer afford to indulge this type of bigotry, because it is a gift to extremists, who can use such statements to prove that the Western world is indeed engaged on a new crusade against the Islamic world. Muhammad was not a man of violence. We must approach his life in a balanced way in order to appreciate his considerable achievements. To cultivate an inaccurate prejudice damages the tolerance, liberality, and compassion that are supposed to characterize Western culture. Instead, this 15 years ago, after the fatwa of Ayatollah Khomeini had sentenced Salman Rushdie and his publishers to death because of what was perceived to be a blasphemous portrait of Muhammad in the Satanic verses. I abhorred the fatwa and believed that Rushdie had a right to publish whatever he chose. But I was disturbed by the way some of Rushdie's liberal supporters segued from a denunciation of the fatwa to an out-and-out condemnation of Islam itself that bore no relation to the facts. It seemed wrong to defend a liberal principle by reviving a medieval prejudice. We appeared to have learned nothing from the tragedy of the 1930s, when this type of bigotry made it possible for Hitler to kill 6 million Jews. But I realized that many Western people had no opportunity to revise their impression of Muhammad, so I decided to write a popular, accessible account of his life to challenge this entrenched view. The result was Muhammad, a biography of the Prophet, which was first published in 1991. But in the wake of September the 11th, we need to focus on other aspects of Muhammad's life. So this is a completely new and entirely different book, which, I hope, will speak more directly to the terrifying realities of our post-September the 11th world. As a paradigmatic personality, Muhammad has important lessons not only for Muslims, but also for Western people. His life was a jihad. As we shall see, this word does not mean holy war. It means struggle. Muhammad literally sweated with the effort to bring peace to war-torn Arabia, and we need people who are prepared to do this today. His life was a tireless campaign against greed, injustice, and arrogance. He realized that Arabia was at a turning point, and that the old way of thinking would no longer suffice. So he wore himself out in the creative effort to evolve an entirely new solution. We entered another era of history on September the 11th, and must strive with equal intensity to develop a different outlook. Strangely, events that took place in 7th century Arabia have much to teach us about the events of our time and their underlying significance. Far more, in fact, than the facile soundbites of politicians